What's happening, people? And once again, welcome back to youtube.com/CubCamTV for this, another edition of the CubCast Daily, our daily news section we're running here on the channel, exploring international music stories, breakdowns, discussions, and everything along those lines. I always love putting these episodes together because you guys can get super interactive with what we're doing here on the channel. And as you can tell from the title of this video, today's one is quite spicy. Before we do get into the video, though, I want to say a massive thank you to each and every one of you who has been supporting the channel. The growth has been absolutely crazy over the past couple of weeks, absolutely skyrocketing in regards to numbers, now approaching 51.5k subscribers. Hopefully we can get to 52k by the end of this week. That would be incredible if we can, and it means we could well be heading towards 60k before the end of the year, which is mind-blowing to me, but there we go. Guys, hope everyone's doing well. If you are new to the channel, make sure you are getting involved by hitting that subscribe button on the right-hand side of the page, turning notifications on, leaving a like, leaving a comment, and all of that good stuff. But let's get into today's subject matter. As you can see from the title, we are talking about the one and only Big Wiz. Very much an exciting time as a WizKid fan right now, because we do know that More Love, Less Ego, the highly anticipated follow-up album to Made in Lagos, is around the corner, and I could not be more excited for an album project. I think he is in a very unique position as WizKid. He likes to release albums around this sort of end of the year point. I think Made in Lagos itself was actually released in November, so this one's slightly earlier by the sounds of things. As far as I'm aware, it's going to be released on the 29th of October. That's the date I keep seeing spread around. I may be incorrect about that. It may be slightly earlier. It may be slightly later, but that's the sort of time scale we are apparently looking at for the album's release, which is very interesting indeed. We know Wiz has been known to kind of chop and change when things are going to be released, but hopefully we do get this one on time, because it would be one of the best ways I could imagine of rounding up what has been a spectacularly strong year in Afrobeats music in regards to album releases, artist breakouts, label consistency, all of these things that I feel kind of validify a genre on a global stage. It's been one of the strongest years ever for Afrobeats music in regards to the amount of new artists that have absolutely blown up, the amount of bangers that have been released, and of course the amount of top quality albums that we have seen throughout the course of the year, whether that be Burna Boy, whether that be Ashake, whether that be Fireboy DML, whether that be Rema, whether that be someone like Bodge, for instance, or even Basket Mouth putting together one of my favourite projects of the year earlier on. So it's been an incredibly strong year for albums, and I think it's about time we do get into a discussion, which you can see from the title, as I said before, is an interesting one, which is, will More Love, Less Ego be able to outdo what has been done by Made in Lagos? Now, first of all, let's just break down what I mean by this question. Made in Lagos is a seminal body of work. It is undoubtedly one of the biggest and most respected bodies of Afrobeats work that has ever been released. There's no getting away from that as a concept, because the facts are there, the streams are there, the numbers are there, and the record breaks are also there. 100 weeks in the Billboard chart, the first African album, I believe, to do this, and it's also not just been through kind of luck. Like, this is an album that has won a ton of awards all around the country. We're still seeing Essence nominated for the American Music Awards this year. This album came out over 2 years ago. So the consistency in the kind of, in just how much this album has been appreciated is truly, truly spectacular. So this is why it's an interesting question to ask. Will More Love, Less Ego be able to surpass it? So in regards to what we know about this album so far, this new one, we've heard Bad For Me, which I'm assuming is going to be one of the tracks on there. It's the sort of track that he launched the campaign with a couple of weeks ago. But bear in mind, Bad For Me didn't actually make it into the #1 spot in Nigeria, and it didn't make it into the #1 spot on the US Afrobeats Billboard charts either. So this is a tune that has been ever so slightly, for a WizKid release, I would say, it's gone slightly under the radar. It wasn't kind of as explosive as I feel he would have hoped, or the majority of WizKid fans would have hoped. Not necessarily because it's a bad tune, but it just happened to be released the same week as Ashake's new album, which has obviously dominated the charts, and it's dominated the listenership more than anything else, which is interesting. But actually breaking down Bad For Me as a track, it's a very kind of modernized take on where Afrobeats is. You can hear that clear kind of Amma influence in there. It's a lot bouncier than a lot of the previous works we heard on Made in Lagos. Again, very modernized, I feel, in its production style, which is cool, and I love to see that, because it means we are going to see, hopefully, a more 2022 version of WizKid on this album project. When you compare where they are as artists, I definitely feel that Wiz was already a very well-established artist prior to Made in Lagos, but now there is no doubting that he is swinging with the world elite. And it's a similar situation for Burna, and that was the case for Burna before Love the Meanie dropped. I definitely think think Love Domini for Burner has pushed him even further, but Made in Lagos was an album that took Wiz from like a sort of recognised name you'd have heard of from somewhere else to being a household name that you know of from somewhere else. So it's quite an interesting one. I think when you break down what Made in Lagos actually did as an album, obviously you have the deluxe version as well, which added a ton of content. It added the Justin Bieber remix of Essence, which again has become one of the biggest tunes we've seen released globally in general, quoted by Kanye to be the best R&B song ever made, which is crazy when you actually think about that as a statement. On top of this as well, obviously we did see the inclusion of Buju with Mood on the extended deluxe edition. Whether we're going to get to a point with this new More Love Less Ego project where there's going to be a deluxe edition, I don't know, because the bar has been set very high, and that's kind of like the point of this project that this discussion actually that I wanted to dive into. Has WizKid set the bar too high with Made in Lagos? Is he going to be able to hit those heights again? Two main ways we can look at this. One, Afrobeats was not in the place it was when Made in Lagos dropped a couple of years ago that it is now. It's now a much more sort of globally accepted genre. It's a genre where we kind of expect to see dominating charts. It's a sound we expect to hear kind of pulsating through the clubs and on the radio stations. It's become a much more sort of household, normalised thing to hear. Whereas when Made in Lagos dropped, I wouldn't have said it was anywhere near that level. You still had Burner and Wiz kind of poking through, and a couple of other artists kind of resonating here in the UK. But now you've got, again, the likes of Ashake, you've got the likes of Fireboy DML, who has exploded since then. Rema in a similar situation. You've got a ton of big international artists all getting involved in the genre, and really kind of pushing that onto a whole different level, whether that be people from the UK, for instance, like an Ed Sheeran, or whether it be people in America, like Justin Bieber joining forces. You see, there's a real kind of expansion of the sound, and the interesting thing for me is going to be, can WizKid take what he started with Made in Lagos and take it to the next level with this sort of newfound, again, appreciation for the sound that he has played a massive part in. I would say there is every potential for him to be able to outdo what was done in Made in Lagos. There is every potential, because he has evolved as an artist. He hasn't actually released that much music in this time period. Bear in mind, so the odds are he has stacked a ton of content that is yet to be used. That's most likely what has happened. So when you think about it like that, there's going to be a ton of maybe unreleased tracks, maybe just sort of random studio sessions, random collaborations. We did see a list of the collaborative artists that are going to be featuring on the project released quite recently as well. Check out our vlog on that to see the points and why we think those would be successful tracks. But in general, I think there is every opportunity for WizKid to surpass what he did on Made in Lagos with this new More Love Less Ego album. But I'm very keen to hear what you guys think. Do you think he has the ability to outdo himself once again? This is a guy that continues to impress and push the boundaries further and level up seemingly album to album, but I want to hear if you think he can do it again. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below on whether you think More Love Less Ego will be able to outdo Made in Lagos plus the deluxe edition. Do you think we'll see a deluxe edition? Are there any collabs on there you're hoping to see that may not have been announced yet? What are you most looking forward to about this new Made in Lagos album? Let's have a proper discussion on this one during this video, which I very much enjoyed putting together, and I'm keen to hear your thoughts, so do let me know. As always, friends, if you are new to the channel as well, do make sure you are getting involved by hitting that subscribe button on the right hand side of the page, turning notifications on, of course, leaving a like, leaving a comment, and all of that good stuff. Just a little mention as well, I am starting a new job this week, very much behind the scenes involved in music promotions and PR and things like that, so do be aware there may be slightly fewer uploads this week just whilst I get settled, but hopefully we can keep the ball rolling. So please make sure you are getting involved, and if you have enjoyed this video, obviously make sure you are hitting that subscribe button. That's it from me though. Hopefully you have enjoyed, and we shall see you all next time. Peace.
Sounding so good right now. But they're sounding a bright and town.
Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, CubCast TV. Stay locked.